And now back to your regular programming.
If you speak better to yourself.
You showed up for probably the dumbest conversation we've ever had on this show.
Let's have that smile again.
Tell me how that happens. Physically should not happen.
Relax.
If you say
Give me as well.
3 times a day, God will line it up.
He's just an absolute hack, and he gets his ass kicked by his teammates every week. It's just terrible.
Welcome back to Hack City. Joe DeLeone, Sean Anderson, 2 former college football players from the University of Rhode Island. Today, we are going to be continuing on our fantastic tier lists. We're doing NFC running backs. We're also going to talk a little bit about college football playoff expansion, as that broke on Friday, that there is speculation that the playoff could expand further. And we're going to talk a little bit about Bill Belichick. Sean, before we get there, can you share with our listeners a quick word from BetOnline?
Really don't feel like doing it today, especially for you at this current moment.
Why?
I am injured and have got zero sympathy from my co-host. I am an injured player right now.
Hungover?
No, not even that.
Sunburned?
I am burned. I've been burned by the sun.
Whitey, is that my fault?
I've been burned.
You're big honky and you want me to feel bad for you? We all get sunburned.
I've been burned, and I didn't get one note of, oh, feel better. Nothing like that. Living with a jerk.
You're a grown man.
I'm living with a jerk.
If I rolled in here sunburned, you would have slapped me.
No, I wouldn't.
Yes, you would
no,
have.
I would not.
Don't act like you wouldn't have done that. You've done that to me before.
No, I haven't.
Yes,
that's a lie. Also, okay, before the read, I'm going to get to the read. I've got some news for the fat world, by the way. Fatties,
okay,
listen up. Okay. I'm going to put you onto some game. What we ain't doing anymore. Be as fat as you want. I don't care. I genuinely don't care.
Okay.
What we're not doing McDonald's fries anymore. They have been horrid.
What's wrong with the McDonald's fries?
They're just bad. They are bad. They have lost.
Are you sure you just didn't order from a bad spot or something?
I'm certain. I've been on this tirade. It's been a mini tirade for about 18 months where I've really just kind of been clocking. And every time I have the fries, and I'm very, very disappointed. It may just look like Big Fatty yelling about his fries right now.
It does a little bit.
I get that. I get the optics here. But I'm telling you, they ain't the same. It's not like a McDonald's 2014 fry or a McDonald's 2008 fry. I don't care what they're frying it in. It ain't the same.
Are they not one of those on the beef tallow?
They were supposed to be first to the punch where they're cooking it in the
Whataburger
grease.
Was the main one, right?
I didn't love the way you said Whataburger.
Whataburger. I've never had Whataburger. Whataburger.
Whataburger. You know what? Yours was right. Boo. I'm letting old fatties know that there is better fries out there available. Just don't even waste the time with the McDonald's fries anymore. Just don't even do it.
I mean, Five Guys easily takes the cake.
That style of fry is just better. Peanut oil. Go ahead, fry it in that. That's 1,000 times better. But McDonald's,
Wendy's up there. BK fries. I'm not a BK fry guy. Overrated. In-N-Out fries, extremely overrated.
Don't like crinkle cut. But McDonald's used to be like the gold standard. It used to be, this is what we want our fries to be achieved as: crispy on the outside, fluffy on the inside. Now they're just bad. They're not
soggy.
They're soggy. And I'm not finishing the container. Shocking. How could that be possible, Sean? How could you look the way you do and not finish every container of fries?
I think
I haven't in over a year closed out the hot dogs.
Oh, this has been going on that long.
Dude, they're bad now. I'm telling you. It's not just, I had some today and I want to come yell about it. But no. This has been a continued pattern of disrespectful fries being put out to the nation.
I don't know how we fix this problem.
Be better. I'm not getting them any. I'm not. I don't care. Combo meal, no combo meal. I'm just not going to put up with it. It is not good work that they're doing. But who is doing good work? BetOnline, because they are the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for all your sports betting action. Baseball season is here. The Nats are getting done up today by the Cardinals. They got done up by Cleveland, but I have a new favorite player in the MLB for the first time in years. Everyone should just do this. Go to your team, say, this is my new favorite player. James Wood, betting on him all the time. Home run props, hitting props, total bases props, whatever you need. BetOnline has those lines for you. NHL playoffs fan, what happened with the Caps last? Oh, they got rocked. But You can head to Bet Online.
Game to watch.
They got all the action. They have all the latest odds, the news, the scores, even live in-game betting when the games are being played. I think that it's a pretty smart play right now to be invested in the Boston Celtics in the series. I don't think the Knicks can pull off 4 games against that team. I really don't. So I'm going to be going to Bet Online, and I'm going to be putting down futures and plays on all of those games. In between games, head over to the Bet Online casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. Bet Online, the game starts here.
All right, no more betting talk. We need to get into important business here. So anyone who's caught up with the latest tier videos that we've done for quarterbacks, they know where we're going with this. We have created the perfect system for ranking position groups. We have created 2 tiers. That's all you need.
Yeah.
2 tiers. Those 2 tiers, shit or not shit. Nothing else. There is no medium shit. There is no shit but showing promise. There's no not shit but could end up turning into shit. It is shit or not shit. Go watch the quarterback ones if you've missed it. I'm already clocking here that you wrote down a lot of the big name guys at the top of the list.
Well, I went just division by division.
Okay.
I feel like it's the easiest way to operate.
Let's do what we did last time for the AFC quarterbacks to start us off here. Saquon Barkley, Bijan Robinson both automatically go into the not shit category.
They're safe.
There is really not much discussion. You had a guy who rushed for 2,000 yards. You have Bijan, who is consistently the biggest weapon for the Falcons. They're the most intriguing running backs in the NFL, and there's other guys on this list that we're going to go through, obviously, but they were one of the few that were worthy of being drafted as high as they were, and they have lived up to those expectations. So they automatically they get moved into not shit.
I would agree. I was actually worried about this tier list because you like running backs, I like running backs, and it's different than quarterbacks because running backs, you don't have the ball in your hands. It's just run, catch, block. How do you do all those things? And I think most starting running backs in the league are pretty closely grouped in a not shit, but now that we have only 2 real categories to work with, it's going to get there's names on here that I'm not ready to go to war about, but we're going to have to, especially at the end.
The other thing that gets a little bit tricky now that I'm looking at this, there's a couple of guys in a couple situations where it's mixed carries, and I think I'll try to delineate who the primary guy is before we. Oh man, there are some guys here that this is going to be tough. All right, let's move on to another, I think, clear one. Josh Jacobs, I think, is a not shit running back. I know that he's been around for a bit. He's on his second team. He's had a really good stretch with the Packers. He's been very important for the Packers' offensive success thus far. So I think that, again, despite him really about to hit 30, really about to hit that final stretch of a running back's career where things start to fall off and they fall off they fall off hard. They fall off a cliff. Despite that, he belongs in the not shit category.
I'm fine with that. Josh Jacobs has been around, consistent, and he has been a player who, while he doesn't necessarily pop as a running back, he is not shit. He is a good running back. He is solid. You can count on him getting you 1,000 yards plus and being a vital member to the offense. So I am cool with Josh Jacobs, not shit.
I'm trying to think which.
I have one to pitch that I'm fine with. Kyron Williams, I'm happy to put in the not shit category.
Okay, good. I was looking down far on the list and I was wondering what direction you were going to go in. Yeah, I mean,
he gets in the end zone a lot. In the end zone a lot, and the way you win football games is scoring. I know he had a bit of a fumble bug.
Analysis.
Hey, look, we got to moneyball it. You win by getting on base. But Kyron Williams does that. He gets in the end zone, puts points on the board a lot. So I'm happy with him being not shit in the NFC.
Yeah, Kyron Williams for me is a guy that I think is just generally often disrespected. I feel like a lot of times whenever you see these off-season lists for free agency, for the draft, for team needs, for some reason running back is always listed for the Rams, which doesn't make any sense because Kyron Williams has been insanely productive over the last 2 years. Anytime you watch a Rams game too, it's man, they're just giving Kyron the ball and he looks gassed, but he is still just fighting and scratching and clawing for extra yards. He absolutely is in the not shit category.
And one of the best underdog stories in the NFL. to come out of
Yeah.
the mud in college.
Okay.
And then,
All
and then
right.
really
All
made-
right.
What?
All right.
What?
What do you mean come out the mud?
Made
do
it
you
out
mean?
the mud.
You gonna elaborate?
While he was playing at a tragic program in college, and then was able to the brilliance of the Rams front office said, wow, despite all of these hideous things surrounding him, I know he can play ball, and he is showing that in the NFL. So I love Kyron Williams. It's a great story.
We're gonna ignore that. Here's a tough one. Christian McCaffrey, 49ers running back. Is he shit or is he not shit?
Okay, I'm not trying to just start just so I can hear the horn.
Right.
I don't want to hear the shit horn just because I want to hear it, or play it just because I want to hear it. This is a concern right now for McCaffrey. 2 calf injuries, needing to see specialists. But the question is shit or not shit, and not can he play or not play if he is healthy. So I'm leaning not shit, even though I think his career is done or very close to being done due to medical instances.
He had 15 receptions and 50 rushing attempts in 4 games last year. God, this is the real line
really
of demarcation, because Christian McCaffrey, when healthy, is arguably the best running back in the NFL.
Top 3, no one should even question.
Top 3 at the bare minimum. But the swirling rumors around his health and his eventual availability, it's super concerning. He's 28 years old. He's older than us, which is already off to a bad start.
Yeah, that's a win for us, by the way.
Yeah,
my calves still work.
By the way, one of the most handsome people I've ever seen in person.
Yeah?
Easily, without a doubt. At the Super Bowl, one of the most handsome people I've ever seen. His dad is big as shit, too.
He probably only had like an inch or 2 on you, right?
He was shorter than me. I'm not even joking. He was shorter than me. That's not a joke.
Christian McCaffrey
He was shorter than me. He was like a hair shorter than me. He's like 5'10". I'm not 5'10".
I always forget that. I always get your numbers mixed up. My numbers? I was sitting here thinking,
what are my numbers?
I was sitting here thinking Christian McCaffrey had to have been like 5'8" when you were saying he was shorter than you.
No, he's listed as 5'10", and I think at the combine. Wait a second, I'm gonna look this up. All right, so while I'm looking this up, can you help us decide this here? I think that he's not shit because we would be ultimate hacks, hence the name of the show. We would be ultimate hacks if we allowed for one injury-riddled year to make that decision for us. And if he comes back and he's completely fine this season, and maybe he doesn't have the same prolific MVP type of a year, he still ends up being really good and a 1,000-yard rusher, we're going to look stupid.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready to look stupid on a Christian McCaffrey. On Christian McCaffrey yet. The safe play is not shit, but in my gut, I'm saying my gut is telling me it's done. It is, but the fact that the 49ers got rid of Mason and they didn't feel the need to really address the running back room, maybe they have more confidence in McCaffrey. I'm fine with putting him not shit. If they had made big plays and a contingency plan for running back, then I would read that as they know it's over. But I don't think so. I'm cool with McCaffrey being in the not shit. Yeah, it's just smart. I'm fine with that.
Let's save relocating him to the shit category for if he theoretically falls off a cliff this season and he's just the same story, constantly banged up. He's going to Uruguay for a different specialist this time to find out what's wrong with his calf. And that will be the time when we officially give up on him. All right, Bijan Robinson Jr. of the Commanders, which, I mean, I guess he's their starting running back still. Like, he and Eckler still get some touches here and there. How would you line up?
You answered it. Because in a running back room where you have to qualify the starting running back as, I guess he's the starting running back, which is tough because he's productive and he can fall forward.
Is 799 yards productive?
They could use a better running back in Washington, and that
makes fine.
He's fine, but that doesn't mean he's not shit. Is that how I wanted to say that? Yeah, he's in the shit list.
The way that I would categorize this, if you are willing to project in an upcoming draft, or people were projecting the past draft, if you were willing to say they should consider taking a running back, that automatically puts you in the shit category. Bijan Robinson, for me, feels like a guy who could be an awesome RB2, like an elite RB2. He's big, 6'1", 230. He's a big ass dude. He had a pretty good yards per carry average. He averaged 4.3 yards per carry this past year, but he's not a game changer.
Right.
He's not a guy that is going to rip off a big game-altering run. And I feel like in the modern NFL, these dump truck running backs like this that are expected to just pave their own lanes and run through people in short yardage, it's a nice commodity to have on the roster, but it's not something that you can build your run game around.
I have to think running backs, hard position, unique position, 32 that were roughly 32 that we're going to have on these lists. I don't think Bijan Robinson Jr. is in my top 20. And if I thought 20 running backs were on the not shit category, then he's not in it. So I'm going to have to put him on the shit list. He's fine, good player. But when I have to qualify it. I have to keep qualifying him. So that puts him on the shit list.
Okay, my pitch for Tyrone Tracy, second-year running back for the Giants, 839 rushing yards, 5 rushing touchdowns, also had 38 receptions and 284 receiving yards and a touchdown. Shit or not shit? For a rookie. We're talking about a guy who was a rookie last year.
I know, but he's not top 20. He's not in that echelon. He's a rookie. He did fine. But I thought he had 1,000 yards rushing, and then I hear 800. Ooh, tough.
He was 1,000 scrimmage yard guy.
That's good, but 1,000 scrimmage
he didn't start getting big touches until the second half of the year. Like, it wasn't until later on in the season when they realized that they couldn't go to like Devin Singletary as much as they were, that they had to start giving Tracy more touches. Here to put into context. Game 1, 2 carries. Game 2, 1 carry. Game 3, 5 carries. Game 4, 4 carries. Then he gets 18 in week 5, 17 in week 6. I think he was like a little bit banged up. No, he wasn't banged up, but he had a lot more opportunities to produce. In his first big game, he rushed for 129 yards. That doesn't mean anything.
He's a fine running back on a god-awful team, and he didn't make much of a difference for their wins. He played the position. He suited up at running back, and he got yards.
Stink.
Come on, Joe. Come on. We can't all be decked out with all the great talents like Atlanta does. Some teams struggle at the specialty positions.
All right.
Sorry, Tyrone Tracy, but
I'm lumping this all into one group, the Dallas Cowboys running back room. Javonte Williams, Jaden Blue, Phil Maffa also, Miles Sanders. Yeah, the whole group. Miles Sanders.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, the whole group's not good.
Yeah, that's any one of them. Whoever's starting. Excited to see what Maffa does. He's big and strong. Excited to see what Jaden Blue could do. He is quick, shifty, and I think can make linebackers miss. But unproven, and what they have right now and what we've seen in that room, it would be foolish for us to put them on the not shit list. So all of Dallas vanished.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is something that we talked about a couple of times during the offseason where it feels like they just decided to collect a bunch of guys who were mediocre and had like a couple of little nice spurts. Like, oh, hey, this guy might have a little bit of potential. And then they're also, most of them are incredibly banged up, especially Javonte Williams, Phil Maffa, who they drafted out of Clemson, incredibly banged up last year, dealing with a shoulder issue as a hard-nosed physical running back. I don't know what the recovery like that is. I don't know if that's something that he just gets, moves past and is fine. Jaden Blue's the one player I think who provides the most excitement, right? Because he's a spark plug. If he could end up being a player that just ends up, having a couple 50-yard rushing touchdowns, and we're talking about how he was one of the most underrated rookie running backs because the rest of the room sucks. He ends up taking over the Lions' share of carries. I could totally see that.
I could, but he would still probably be the 32nd best running back in the league. Like, Dallas's running back room is horrid and very well could be the worst. So I would almost want to call it the Dallas list, but that would actually give them too much credit because that means we're actually thinking about them more than we are.
All right, I'm going to set you up on this one, and I'm not going to provide the necessary context because I want to see where your head's at without knowing how this guy did last year. Aaron Jones Sr. Oh, shit or not shit?
Aaron Jones Sr. on the not shit list.
Okay, good.
Love
good.
me some Aaron Jones. I think that he is a phenomenal running back. I thought the pickup last year for Minnesota to grab him, stellar move. It was a great crafty move. Green Bay thought they needed an upgrade. Aaron Jones was like one of their most consistent pieces on offense while he was there. And they said, oh, we could do better. And they're getting just about as much from Josh Jacobs, if not a little bit more. So lateral move by Green Bay, exceptional move by Minnesota to truly upgrade at the running back position. I love Aaron Jones. I think he's definitely a great running back.
He's another guy that's got a lot of mileage on him, so you kind of don't know when that drop-off hits, but quietly had 1,500 all-purpose yards last year, was one of the most productive running backs in the NFL. He had I had it right in front of me. He had 1,100 rushing yards. He had 408 receiving yards. He was insanely productive. He was a big reason for their offense being as good as it was. He was one of those fantasy football darlings that everybody wanted to have on the roster because he was going to catch a bunch of passes. He was going to have, it felt like, at least 60 yards rushing in a game.
Yeah.
You could always trust on Aaron Jones. I don't know if there's just not some random reality sets in. By the way, talk about a guy, reality. He needs to shave the head. Have you seen?
Oh, no, I love it.
You've seen his hairline.
Yeah.
His hairline's midway through his
Hang
skull.
on, man.
It's like through the middle of his head. As a man who does not have a great hairline at the current moment, who's around the same age as him, you just gotta chop it off, man.
What are you talking
If
about?
I ever get to that point, I'm chopping it off. There's nothing more depressing than seeing a man that has a hairline that is halfway back past their head.
I don't know if it's
just call it in.
Situation. Look, I'm standing with my balding brethren. I am an ally. I will always be an ally to the gentleman of hair loss. It's not every, but that's just me understanding my privilege as someone that's never going to ever have to worry about that.
You don't know that. First of all, you don't know that.
Oh,
Second of all, when you see somebody who has a shit hairline and they get like a really good haircut around that really shit hairline, isn't the first thing you think of is you just look better if you shaved it all off.
Maybe he's got a weird head. Maybe he's got a weird lumpy head.
He does kind of have a weird head, but I would argue it calls more attention to the fact that he's got a weird head, that his hairline is so far back.
I like hat guys. I like bald guys that say, I'm just going to rock a hat. I'm going to start liking hats. I have no problem with that. That works for me.
But he needs to shave it and then do the hat bit.
He's an NFL player. I'm not going to tell an NFL player how to work with his own identity and ego, because it's always, there's the real person and then there's the football player. And most of the time, these guys are a little bit different. So to protect the football player, the person must make choices that may not be most beneficial to their actual image.
You know what we should do? We should do a Mount Rushmore of bald football players. I think that running back is a position where bald guys automatically aura goes up.
Fournette had tons of aura, and he
went bald early. Like he called it. He said, "We're done, mid-20s. We're just chopping it off."
Fournette shouldn't
Tiki
catch
Barber?
a stray, but yeah, Fournette would have been on the shit list, but he had great aura because he was bald.
Yeah. Tiki Barber, another guy. Trying to think some other bald running backs.
Eckler's bald.
Eckler's has had good aura. He's obviously much older now, but when he was spry and productive, and a juice god, he had the aura of being bald.
And it was bald. Well, at the end,
there you go. It's another one.
Hair for a while though. I'm not sure if I'm really. Did he? I don't know enough about Emmitt Smith to know if he had hair for the majority of his career, if he was bald for the more. Marshall Faulk.
Marshall Faulk, another guy who was bald. I was pitching this. I was breaking this down at the combine. I want my tight ends to have a receding hairline. I don't want them to shave it. I want the Brock Bowers headline.
There's a Brock Bowers influence there.
I had a coworker hear me talking about this, and he was very intrigued. So I think that I was onto something. And I think that running backs need to go bald. If you are like an inkling of a hairline movement, just shave it all off.
We can't be doing a tier list inside of a tier list here.
We're doing it. Well, that's what I started doing.
That's sitting in the pool on the cruise ship. That's what we're doing right now.
Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm saying that Jahmyr Gibbs is the number one running back for the Lions. Jahmyr Gibbs is obviously not shit.
Yeah.
But it helps that we can also say David Montgomery's also there in the conversation. Them as a group is the combined as one running back is maybe the best running back in the NFL.
Right.
If we morph them into one human being, it'd be the best running back in the NFL. You obviously can't do that. So Jahmyr Gibbs, automatically not shit.
Yeah, both of them would make my not shit list. They're both very good, and they're working together is one of the more incredible. It's going to be a tandem that I look back on in 20 years and say, man, how did the NFL let these two guys play together for that tear? I mean, they're reviving Detroit football. Dan Campbell, whatever you want to say, you could say anything about Goff or Amon-Ra St. Brown or Jameson or Ben Johnson. No, it came from those running backs and that offensive line in Detroit on how they actually got things rolling in Motor City. I'll see myself out.
Here's a really generally perplexing one. DeAndre Swift, Chicago Bears running back. His career with the Lions to start was unproductive. It was quite underwhelming. Has a really nice year when he was moved to the Eagles, and then he gets pushed out for Saquon to come in. The rest is history. Has 1,000 yards that year. This past year, he averages 3.8 yards per attempt. He ends up having 386 receiving yards, so he ends up having over 1,000 scrimmage yards, 959 rushing yards, and 6 touchdowns. I will give DeAndre Swift a little bit of the benefit of the doubt here. And I'm this is not my pick, but I'm just pointing out that I'm a little uncertain on if he's shit or not shit, because the Bears offensive line last year was awful.
Sure.
It was awful.
Real bad.
He was 1,000-yard back when he was running behind the Eagles offensive line. That clearly helped him. So actually, maybe I just answered it for myself. He needed a good offensive line to rush for 1,000 yards. Therefore, that means he is shit because he needs the support of a good O-line. There it is.
That's fine. I'm not going to challenge you on that. If I were to, I would say that DeAndre Swift suffers from some of the same disease that Darren McFadden suffered from in the NFL, where just everything you want in a running back, the speed, the versatility, physicality, usage rate. He just didn't always make the right decision as a runner that could have propelled him to being a game breaker. DeAndre Swift leaves a bit too much meat on the bone as a runner for me. He is, and now we have a unanimous shit list tier player.
I think that's a really good. By the way, I was thinking about this earlier. What makes this whole concept, to peel back the curtain for a second, this concept so great? None of it's consistent. None of it
shouldn't be.
We pitch,
but they're all different. They're all different, and they all work in different systems. It can't be.
We pitch so many different stupid qualifiers every single show for every single guy. It's the whole thing is arbitrary, which I
but
think
also
makes it great.
if we wanted to do metrics based yards, touchdowns, every WAR in NFL,
is that even a stat in the NFL?
I'm sure there's people that use it. Wins above replacement, how you do against the back, whatever.
I don't know if that's possible.
Whatever we want to do, it would make the list boring, because then we would just be technically talking about why they are not on the list, rattling off numbers and rationale, whereas we have at least different at times perspectives on the backs and their situations.
This makes too much sense.
I like the way that we do it, opposed to the boring. Well, we did the math, folks. Here's the information with no fluff. This is a show. It's all fluff. It's all fluff on this show.
It's the shit rating. It's got a 1 or a 0.
That's right.
Chuba Hubbard is a tough one. He rushed for 1,100 yards, nearly 1,200 yards last year. He had 10 touchdowns. He also had 171 yards receiving, 43 catches. He averaged 4 yards a reception. God, that is an awful average for yards per reception. It's like every time he caught the ball, he was getting tackled. I don't know. Chuba Hubbard's a tough one for me.
He's not for me, and I'll tell you why. And I will just briefly, for me, he is not tough because he had to be thrown to be almost in a Tyrone Tracy situation, become the de facto entire offense, while the quarterbacks are playing with their puds the entire season, with Bryce Young starting the year super, super rocky. All right, well, we got to lean on Hubbard. And then you have Andy Dalton come in, have a miracle 2-game stretch, and then it's back to leaning on Hubbard. Bryce Young finally starts getting right in the last 3 weeks of the season. Well, those other 7, we had to lean on Hubbard. That was the offense. He was just the de facto main target point in that off. Did I say de facto twice in this same spiel? Awful form. But he had to become the main focal point of the offense. That does not intrinsically translate into not shit tier.
You know what? Here's another thing, too, that we're actually forgetting with him. He didn't play the last 2 weeks of the season, and he still rushed for 1,200 yards. I don't know, man. I think his production was good enough last year. Behind Panthers fans will tell you if they have a great offensive line. It's an okay offensive line. It was just a hair above average, and they think that they have a top 10 offensive line. I said that they should have drafted another tackle, and I was told by so many Panthers fans I was wrong about this, which was total bullshit. He had a couple big games this year, and I think it's really – here's why I'm going not shit. We were not given any opportunities to pay attention to anything Carolina did this year. They didn't get primetime games. It's just like how the Pistons – I don't know how much you were tracking the NBA this year. I've been tracking it pretty closely this year, a lot more than I usually do. And when I would listen to – I had a couple podcasts in the rotation, the Athletics NBA show, the Ringers NBA show. And every time I would listen to it, they would both bring up the same thing where with the Pistons, they don't get any primetime games. So nobody knows how good they are.
Right.
And we got to see in the playoffs that hey, man, Kate Cunningham's like that.
Thompson's going to be legit for them.
But the Panthers, I think, are like the Pistons are going to – the Panthers will be the Pistons this year. We don't know what they are. And Cade Cunningham, who everyone was like, is he really that good? And then now he finally lived up to the expectation of being the first overall pick. I think Bryce Young's going to do that.
Yeah.
And I say all this to say that we didn't really get a lot of opportunities to see Chuba.
I watched plenty of
production.
Chuba just destroyed Atlanta and their weak, soft-ass defense. He picked on the Saints. Joe, look at and if we are split here, just use your eyes. No other analysis. Shit or not shit points of the entire experiment. Chuba Hubbard fits with the shit opposed to the not. Just look at the names.
Wait. Okay. Now, man, this is the hardest one that we've had to do. And again, I say this for anyone who wants to hop in the comments and be a dickhead. Feel free to. I've never stopped anyone. I was bringing up my point about how we didn't see a lot of Chuba Hubbard in front of our faces or the Panthers in general. I'm saying this to say when I'm digging into his box scores because I didn't watch a lot of Chuba Hubbard this year.
And no one would blame you.
Right.
It's fine.
But here were his best performances. Week 3 against the Raiders, he had 114 yards. Bad defense. Week 4, 104 yards against the Bengals. Week 5, 97 yards against the Bears. Decent defense. Atlanta. Week 6, 92 yards. Shit defense.
Yeah, real bad.
153 yards in week 10 against the New York Giants in overtime. 92 yards in week 13 against the Eagles, which is a pretty good performance. And then his last big game was in week 15 before he went out for the rest of the year. 152 yards against the Arizona Cardinals. So he's got a lot of, draining threes against the Wizards on his resume.
That's what he is, and it is great. But if the Carolina Panthers
we might spark out a controversy
played the Eagles, Chuba Hubbard might be limited to under 50 yards.
No, they did play the Eagles.
Oh, what did he get against the Eagles?
92.
Oh, God.
Wait.
Jesus.
92. But so, when he played Dallas, he only had 32 yards.
Yeah, he's on my shit. He's not in the air. He's not sharing. He's not, as a running back, breathing the same air that Bijan Robinson is or Jahmyr Gibbs is.
Fine. I'll let you take the heat for that one. Panthers fans know I tried to make the case. It is not on me. It is on
people.
Sean's
Love
head.
Chuba. They love Panthers fans love that.
I'll send you this guy's address if you need it.
No. Sick puppy.
Alvin Kamara. This one's close to home for you.
Oh, yeah, he's not shit. Alvin Kamara, I think, has earned that. Now, has he earned it recently? And am I just going to start looking back at the 6-touchdown Christmas performance and retroactively just grandfather him into the not shit list? Kind of. I will kind of do that. But Alvin Kamara has been the Ferrari under the porch with a one-bedroom household that barely gets hot water. It's not been good in New Orleans. He has been the only true bright spot in his entire tenure, the entire time. Maybe Taysom Hill, because Taysom Hill has had a reduced role, but he's still exceeded expectations. You can't say the same thing about Olave.
Mhm.
You can't say the same thing about Michael Thomas, who isn't there, who was supposed to be a franchise cornerstone. When it comes to Saints offense, he elevated the offense and then kept it at the maintaining running position of, I'm Alvin Kamara. I can get you 6 wins, 7 wins on my back alone. Lo and behold, they didn't have anything else to help him with his back. But he's a good enough running back to win a team 6 games. So Alvin Kamara, not shit list.
I just realized he's never rushed for 1,000 yards. Alvin Kamara has never rushed for 1,000 yards. Now, he has been arguably the best all-purpose back in his career. And he's 29 years old. I think that Kamara earns the right for how consistently dynamic he has been, just as a weapon, as a receiver, as a running back, everything that he's been able to do for the Saints when they haven't had much. He has been the lone bright spot. So he automatically goes in the not shit category. You know how I know that we're a couple of hacks? We didn't write down the Derek Carr news in the notes for what we
Oh God, who
about.
cares? He's golfing.
Oh, what?
Yeah. And you know what? I had no animosity towards Derek Carr because Derek Carr, when he was at the Saints, was bad. So I didn't hate him like the way I hated Drew Brees, who was very good and made my team look bad. Derek Carr was so bad, I felt bad for him because everyone says how likable he is and how great of a man he is. Not just a football player, but as a man, a human being. I'm not going to outwardly root against that guy if he's also a bag of shit quarterback on the Saints.
Yeah.
And he's throwing a bunch of picks all over the place. He had 2 great weeks last year and then fell off a cliff. It was a comedy. So I love Derek Carr. I love him.
All right, well, so we won't spend time talking about him today. Here is one that I think is going to actually, these last 2 are true ball knower ones, okay? Bucky Irving, Buccaneers running back.
That's real tough. That's so tough. I am so ready to put him on the not shit list. I am so excited to do that because
Don't make this mistake, Sean. Sean,
so ready.
Bucky Irving is not shit. He was 6th in all-purpose yards this last year as
I'm
a
so
rookie.
ready.
That is all you need to do for me.
Then put him on it. I'm
Top
cool.
10
I love Bucky Irving.
all-purpose yards, 1,600 all-purpose yards. He rushed for 1,100, and he had 392 receiving. One of the best running backs in the NFL.
He was great. Great. I'm cool with Bucky Irving being in the not shit list. That's what a riser looks like. That's the difference of a riser, Bucky Irving versus Tyrone Tracy and Chuba Hubbard. Like that should be my benchmark for young running back in the league to make the list.
This is another real ball knower one because I don't think anyone pays attention to the Arizona Cardinals to know how productive this player was last year. Don't look up his stats. James Conner.
Dude.
You better be careful with this one.
I know I need to be careful.
James Conner's not shit, man.
I just played. That's almost like a warning horn.
14th in all-purpose yards. He was a 1,000-yard rusher, 400-yard receiver, 1,500 total yards from scrimmage. That is with an erratic, frustrating quarterback who's throwing him the ball.
Yeah.
And an inconsistent offensive line blocking for him. I think that James Conner might be one of the most underrated running backs in the NFL. Now, he might end up getting, at some point, snuck from behind on by Trey Benson, but everyone thought that was going to happen last year, and it didn't come to fruition. James Conner just reminded us, hey, he's still good. He's still tough as shit. He's still always available. So I think he's not shit.
All right, you're selling me. I'm kind of looking at it from the perspective that I gave Kamara. I think James Conner played a lot of that role also in Arizona. I'm fine. He's a great bubble. He's a very good running back. He runs hard. Fantastic after contact, actually, where he just keeps going and churns out first downs. He's reliable, bell cow, yada yada yada. Yeah, not shit. I'm fine. I will give you a passionate James Conner, not shit.
All right, this one I think is pretty easy. Kenneth Walker. I'm sticking him in the shit category. He had such a promising start to his career. He rushed for 1,000 yards as a rookie, and then it has just been a slow regression due to a lack of availability. He hasn't been very dynamic as a receiver. He's kind of hovered around 200-300 yards. And last year, he only rushed for 573. I feel like Kenneth Walker's kind of on his way out of Seattle and then eventually is going to just be one of those guys that you hear like, oh, said team picked up Kenneth Walker and he's the second running back.
Yeah, the Kenneth Walker impact on football as a whole will be felt for generations. The ripple effect that he had by going to Michigan State, that led to everything. But he is on the shit list right now. He just is. If you would have caught me after his rookie year, I would have died on the table putting him in not shit. I would have got on the table and screamed and ripped my shirt open and said, this guy is the next all-pro running back of the league. And it has not transpired as such, unfortunately.
He's just one of those guys that's like super compact. He's 5'9", he's 210 pounds, and it just kind of feels like the wear and tear of all the touches he got in college has just caught up to him.
Yeah.
And now Charbonnet's feels like he's the main back, and I know that they just added Damian Martinez. Who the hell knows what's happening with that running back room? Yeah, it's kind of sad to see the fall off of Kenneth Walker. All right.
It could be a good running back room, though.
I know. It's deep. It's diverse. It's unique. But it's just a bunch of guys that don't really live up to expectations.
Right.
Constantly. I hope Damian Martinez kind of emerges, but I heard that his knees are in some rough shape, apparently.
You need those for the running back position.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's
like almost, like needing a head too. Tell me a running back's got bad knees. That's always a massive red flag. All right. Sean, it came out on Friday from a good friend of the show, Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports, reported that the Power Conference commissioners were meeting once again to advance the possibility of the college football playoff expanding to 16 teams. Now, you and I have had a lot of conversations about this. I think that many could argue that it is bad for the sport. I think that many could argue that it provides an intriguing new layer. I will not go as far as to say that I think that this kills things. This completely ruins and creates the downfall of the expectations of what is competitive postseason football. But I set up this conversation by saying I am intrigued by the 16-team playoff because I think that with the obnoxious and uninteresting nature of the bowl season, we need something like this.
Yeah, bowls have gotten real rough. I am not going to be, surprisingly, Mr. Doom and Gloom here because it was kind of a fact when they expanded to 12 that there was going to be another expansion. You gave an inch and then subsequently, oh, look, it's the people that take literally miles and miles and miles when given an inch. Oh, are they back to take another mile? Of course they are. It's their nature. I'm not going to be the frog complaining about the snake or scorpion or whatever the vicious predator it is that I'm riding on its back to get to safety. I will not complain about it because it's in the decision maker's nature to make money and to get more eyes on the product and to build things out to be bigger, better. It's what America does. So inherently, I have no issue with it, but it just reeks of greed. It reeks of too many hands in the pot trying to pull puppet strings. Like that's just where it reeks of.
That is the premise that I understand that is constantly brought up, and it's going to be the one that I get into with Blake in about 2 hours. Mm-hmm. Yes, we can't sit here and pretend that there is not some sort of greed involved. We cannot pretend that there is not some motivation behind the premise that's being presented. The schools want more money. The schools want more money to now be able to pay the players that they are going to be required to pay very, very soon once revenue sharing comes into the fold.
Right.
There are a lot of things that need to change and happen. I also think what is really stupid and what I think is going to be a big discussion point with this is why the hell didn't we just go right to 16? Well, that's not how college sports works. We don't have the same layer of – it's not like the NFL where they have so many resources to properly analyze and determine if they want to make a decision. And then they have to go to the NFLPA to negotiate those changes that happen. The college landscape needs to test things for whatever stupid reason. So this was all part of the process. We had to test things. And to talk about the greed, naturally we were going to we're
You just
going
knew. Yeah.
it's going to influence everything. And I think that if we spend so much time griping about the decision makers are so greedy, it robs us of the joy of actually watching the games. And I think if we pay more attention to what is happening on the field, what is going to happen on the field in the 16-team playoff. If you want to be negative and state these games are going to suck, the teams that are 15, 16, 14, 13 are going to be shit. They don't belong in the mix. They're just going to get wiped by whoever they play. I argue that this year with 12 teams was not enough because we had a lot of bad teams that were facing teams that were good enough to compete for national titles. We create a filter system. We allow the mediocre teams that are in the 16-team playoff to play one another in order to advance. We get exciting, interesting first-round games. The first-round games will be better. And just like this year, Sean, the second-round games will also be competitive. That's what we noticed. Once the filtering happened, we got really good games with Arizona State, Texas that was unexpectedly good. We got to see Notre Dame square off with Georgia, and Boise State versus Penn State was a little interesting for like a quarter. But the filtering system is something that we need.
I'm fine with it. I just thought I loved the 12-team playoff last year. I loved it. I thought it was a great product and system that was put out. You had great representation from all the different paths of college football. The team that should have won. And we made that prediction in July of who should have won, Ohio State. And we both, I think we had Ohio State, Georgia in the championship. I picked Ohio State, you picked Georgia, but no one is going to look back on that and say, wow, Ohio State just lucked their way into it. And going into the 12-team playoff last year, there were only about 4 teams that could really do it. So expanding out to 16, I'm cool with if that means we get to see more representation from other, I'd take another G5 team. I'd take different.
No.
I don't need that though. I don't need more shit SEC teams. I don't.
I would rather have more shit SEC teams.
What do you like about because if they're trying to make this the next March Madness, which they're going to try to do, the only thing anyone ever cares about.
Why would we trot out?
Because it's the only thing anyone really care about is the upset. Is anything?
But the upset doesn't happen in football.
Tell that to App State and Michigan. Tell that to Northern Illinois. Tell that to Northern Illinois, Notre Dame.
No.
The upset doesn't happen. Are you kidding me?
Those upsets happen during the regular season. We can dig into the history of the App State Michigan game. We can dig into what happened this year with Northern Illinois, Notre Dame. They overlooked their opponents because it was the beginning of the season. That is why those upsets happened. Wait. When we saw the degree of preparation that Penn State put into playing SMU, they fucking smoked them. They brutally murdered them on the field.
They were a favorite. Good.
But I don't want games like I don't want G5 teams. That is the big.
Then why do you? Now I'm back in it. Now I'm back at the same goddamn argument. Why do you play the game, the EA Sports college football game with G5 teams? Then why do you?
That's not real life. That's a video game.
Yeah, but why do you? But inherently, why do you choose a G5 team? Why do you do it?
Because you want this question.
No, it's because you want to upset. It's because you want to upset.
No, because it's just a fun, different team to use.
Oh, it's a fun, different team, but we don't want to see a fun, different team.
Those teams in real life do not have the resources to compete on the field with the elite premier brands in the sport. The whole premise of creating this expanded playoff
doesn't have the resources that Duke has, but they can knock them out in the first round of March Madness.
Basketball. You and I both know that there's a difference between basketball and football.
Yeah, but in the first 60 in the first 32 games of the tournament, Joe, it's not all chalk. Even though 90% of the favorites win, you still have an upset, and that's the only thing people care about when it comes to tournaments.
We can't add a G5. Wait, hold on. The March Madness tournament this year was one of the most competitive that we've ever had because all the shit bad teams that normally pull off the upsets, there is a talent gap bigger than any other, which is also true.
I thought it was the most boring March Madness tournament I think I made.
I thought that
it was tremendously boring.
8 and beyond, actually, Sweet 16 and beyond was some of the best basketball that I was actually locked in and paying attention.
Where was the story? What was it?
Florida and Houston making as far as they did. Cooper Flag getting knocked off. Nobody would have. If somebody got knocked off earlier, Cooper Flag and Duke would have just ran to a title, and we would have watched them blow the doors off of some team that didn't belong being there.
Look, when you get EA Sports 26 college football,
it's not
just play
a
with Ole Miss.
video game.
Just play with Ole Miss.
It's not.
That's all I'm asking.
Video game. Fine, I'll play with Ole Miss.
I'm just saying there's no consistency to your arguments if what you're doing
that's not real life, though. There is
understanding.
consistency to my argument.
Because you're understanding why you use those, why they're good
That's
for
not
the sport.
real life. That's not real life. You can't just put those teams
and you're not playing in the games or coaching them. So it's
I'm
not
watching
really,
them, I'm analyzing them, I'm
really
breaking them
real
down.
life. It's not really real life that you're in. You're watching and consuming and reacting to it and analyzing.
But exactly, though, I would want the product that is out there to be entertaining to watch. I can pull off an upset with a G5 team because I'm the one controlling the team. That's what makes it more entertaining. It makes it more challenging. An upset does not occur. We can't just create opportunities for upsets that won't happen.
I just don't know how we're already pre-apologizing for the SEC when they were tremendously bad last year as a conference. I don't think
they were tremendously
for their
bad.
standards. For their standards,
they were underwhelming per their standards. But the 7th, 8th best SEC team dominates the second best G5 team.
But why do you reward that if it's a sport that encompasses over 200 schools?
Why
are we rewarding the 8th best in a conference?
Who was the second best G5 team
this past year?
Yeah, who would you say it was?
SMU or Tulane. I know SMU is P4 now.
Tulane lost to Army in their conference championship game. Army got dominated by Notre Dame, who went to a national championship. You would need, and this is the whole premise, the Jesus, what's the word I'm looking for? The at-large bid. If a G5 has a resume that is so impressive, a Cincinnati level impressive, a Boise State level of impressive at least.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought it was unimpressive last year.
If it was a 16-team field, they would have arguably have been in the mix. They had a Heisman Trophy candidate. If it was a 16-team field, I would have had no problem with it. Them being a 4 seed was where the issue came from.
I didn't agree with that.
Okay. What I'm trying to say here, though, is that you need to have and you need to prove to get in. You shouldn't just slot another G5 team in just because we need to include 2 of them.
I would happily do that. I would happily do that than watch a team that really, if they are so good, then leave the SEC and win in the G5 and be that dominant team elsewhere. So you don't have to be sitting at, we were the 7th best in the SEC, but we can't really crack in. Change conferences and go dominate. Then you get an easier path in if you're such a good team. I don't know why Mississippi State hasn't done that.
Wouldn't you have agreed?
Go join the American.
Because they don't want to win the American. They want to retain the prestige of being in the SEC. Wouldn't you agree that the college football playoff wouldn't have been more interesting with Lenore Sellers in it in a 16-team field instead of watching Army try and run the triple option?
They wouldn't have done it. They wouldn't have won the national championship.
They wouldn't have won the national championship, but the first round game that they would have played would have been Illinois, South Carolina is an example of a game that we would get in the first round. That was good fucking game.
Yeah, that was good.
It was the Cheez-It Bowl.
Yeah, that was great. That was a good game. One of them. But if we're going to have realistically, like we will this year, about 4 or 5 teams that can really make a run for it, that are genuinely national championship quality teams, why are the other 11 dipshit teams not just going to be for fun? Why can't we have that be fun? Because realistically,
we're just throwing teams in for fun. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, it's sports. It's college football. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be, hey, look at this fun team that represents a different look at the sport that isn't just the SEC or Big Ten. Like that should be rewarded more. I don't think, but last year, you weren't going to see me begging to have another Big 12 team in there because the Big 12 was inadequate for college football playoff standards. It won rep. That's fine. They had enough that year. But the SEC is different than the Big 12 because their 5th best team is better than the Big 12 5th best team.
But that's not what we're talking about here. The premise of like if we have if we have 2 1-loss Big 12 teams and a 3-loss SEC team, I am always going to fight for that Big 12 team or that ACC team to get in over the SEC team. That is where I will fight for. But when I've got Tulane,
you fought hard for Clemson last year, all through the year.
Well, Clemson wasn't a very good team last year. They only got in because they won the ACC. The ACC was, talk about a shit conference last year. The whole ACC was bad. Talking about Tulane, who couldn't even compete on the field with Florida in the bowl game that they played in. That was a real proven opportunity. That's what the product would look like. That's what we get.
You're quoting their bowl game?
Yes.
No, bowl games don't count. Yeah, nobody
was an
plays. Nobody
opportunity.
plays.
Oh my, that was the
Everyone's
opportunity for
taking them
them to-
off.
to-
It's a bowl game. It's an exhibition. Come on, be real. Be real.
That's the only context that we have of Tulane, what they did in the postseason.
I don't need more SEC. I want more fun college football.
More fun. Okay, so a 50-0 or a 50-15 win is fun for you.
More fun for me because I know in that first quarter is going to be way more fun. Thinking that there's a shot, not thinking that it could happen. That's the mistake.
That is insane logic.
Tell that to people that play the lottery. There's more of them than football fans in the nation.
You wouldn't
Maybe
rather
not.
be entertained.
They're close though.
You wouldn't rather be entertained by, again, Illinois, South Carolina, where it was a close game going into the fourth quarter, and Illinois ran the ball and they ran it down, and then that was how they closed the game out. The unexpected.
You like
victory.
that game because there were coaches fighting in it.
That's good.
That's fun.
I did like that game. You don't think that, say, theoretically, Florida versus Tulane ended up being a playoff game? You think that Billy Napier is really going to be shit talking Summerall, the head coach? Or no, is Summerall the head coach? Regardless, he's not going to. It's going to be a pity party. It's going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, we should probably start stopping the score.
It is Summerall. Look at you, ball knower.
I don't know. I don't agree with this. I don't.
That's fine. We consume the sport differently. We do. It's not so. I didn't come into this conversation thinking, oh, well, Joe's stance has changed, and I don't think that you came in thinking Sean's stance has changed on it. I consume it differently. I think that different parts of football are more fun than other parts of football, and I don't lick the boots of the SEC. Not saying that you do. I'm not saying that you do, but I am not a bootlicker when it comes, because I'm, again, new age college football fan. I am a casual, overwhelming casual enjoyer of college football. I'm not entrenched with the loyalty fandom. My conference, my team doesn't have a conference, but now we're playing 5 games against the ACC. Like, it's different. I think I look at college football the way more people do.
We went a little long on this, so I'm thinking we punt BB and we go to Hackbag.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. This is the Hackbag, 201-834-4308. Call and leave us your voicemails. Do we have any?
The mail never stops.
This is the Hack Bag. Hit us on Twitter for questions or call at 201-834-4308.
201-834-4308.
Twitter questions today. We would love a voicemail this week for the upcoming Tuesday show, 201-834-4308.
201-834-4308. 201-834. We need a really hacky radio voice guy.
We could do that. We could make
Can
that
we get
happen.
one?
Yeah.
Do you have one?
I could get one.
Do you have one
on retainer right now? No, I can get one very quickly.
Okay, I think that all of our segments, we need that voice.
Okay.
Like, just over the top.
Good thing is he's in Hoboken, so we'd be able to track him down.
Who is that?
Well, he works on the weekends. Making sure, you know the deals on the shots and knowing that everything, keeping the party alive at certain bars in Hoboken.
Who are you talking about?
Psycho Mike.
Yo, you're going to go find that guy? That would be fucking perfect. We need to go get that guy. I was wondering who the hell you were talking about. You're talking about Jack Ryan. I'm like, what? No.
$5 Class A Azul.
Oh, my God. We need that guy to do our
$3 Casamigos shots for NFL kickoff.
Could you imagine if we got him to do it?
I bet I could get him.
We need,
I almost want you to come with me so you can see me jargon this thing up. I'll show you how these real producers talk.
Could we also consider tracking down the Rude Dog Show voiceover guy?
We can try to. We can really start having some. Hey, folks, if you made it this long into the episode, we got some stuff cooking this summer.
Yeah.
All right. Do not think
mean things that we're planning on doing.
We have some stuff in. We're not going to be these other shows that take 2 weeks off and say, well, there's nothing to talk about. You're going to be well fed.
Well, except for the week off that Sean goes to Italy.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
That's about 10 days.
First, actually, go ahead. You read the first question.
What famous person do you think is the most similar to you personality-wise? I'd have to go with Richard Dawson for myself. That is from Chester.
All right, who's Richard Dawson?
Oh, God. Let me see what he's...
It might be some pervert.
You know what? I'm not going to go this deep into Richard Dawson. He's on TV. I believe he hosted Family Feud at one point.
Oh, is he the guy?
I don't know enough about Richard Dawson.
Kiss the moms on Family Feud. Is that guy?
It could be.
Okay.
I'm not going to start.
for him.
I don't
Good for
know
Chester.
what's going on with Richard
All right, what
Wilson.
would your answer to this be?
God, look, I'm going to say.
I have an answer to this. You're going to roll your eyes at me.
You please start.
But Larry David, it's the easy one. But like I don't go around projecting that. Like I don't go around being like, oh, I'm such like Larry David. I'm so quirky. Like we were making fun of somebody who put that in their bio. Like if you had one,
That's tough.
if you
Yeah,
had
I
one,
just said-
like in
I'm
all
just letting
seriousness,
you know-
I know that like I'm not on good grounds here because we spent a lot of time making fun of this person. But would you not argue that like out of any famous person?
I would say your short temper is very similar to the character that Larry David plays in Curb Your Enthusiasm's Short Temper. Like there's some similarities there. But do you know the kind of man you have to be just to say, I think Larry David is most like me? Like that is nobody says that. You just
Wait, did I say it that way? Not like I'm like
but,
Larry David, but I said, wait, did I actually say Larry David is like me? I wasn't paying. I didn't realize.
No, I don't think you did.
Okay.
I'm mush mouthing it. It takes a lot of balls to go out and throw out a Larry David, who is maybe one of the most famous satirists of our lifetime.
But I just don't know. I just don't know who, because I'm not. I mean, anyone who knows me well enough, I'm extremely unhinged.
Yeah, that's true. You know what?
I also generally
will
violate most social norms. We spend a
but
lot of time breaking down uncomfortable things that I've done.
Yes, you can be you know what? Maybe you are more like Larry, but you don't have the charm. You don't have the charm.
He's not charming. He's one of the least
there's
charming people ever.
The way that he does it, where if he's rude socially or uncomfortable socially, it's cringy, but you're like, oh, okay. It's what did he just do? Why would he say that?
That's the same thing. There's no whatever.
I don't know. So
who's yours?
God, I don't. I'm almost gonna be worse here.
John Candy?
No. There's a Bourdain quote that's been running in my head for a while, which sucks.
Are you going to say Anthony Bourdain?
I'm a douche.
You're not Anthony Bourdain.
No, I'm not.
Is that what you were going to say?
I sound like a douche here.
Is that what you were going to? Were you going to say Anthony Bourdain?
Quote. Let me get through the quote here. This is what he said,
shit.
and I could just be getting trolled here. Said
I didn't even know
this could just honestly be a basic stupid quote, and they just threw Bourdain's picture on it, but. There's a guy in my head, and all he wants to do is lay in bed all day long, smoke pot, and watch old movies and cartoons. My life is a series of stratagems to avoid and outwit that guy.
That is
I love cartoons.
Unbelievably pompous. You thought that mine was? You thought that mine was?
Yeah.
You just called yourself Anthony Bourdain?
Mm-hmm. I told you it was going to be
balls.
douchey. Yeah, that's how I felt.
One of the most interesting people of like. I don't know what lifetime I would class him because he's dead. I didn't know he was dead until recently.
Mm-hmm.
That requires like some extreme hubris.
Yeah, it does. I'm aware. What do you want me to say? Matt Light? Because he went on names with games and talked about hunting and Foxborough.
You don't hunt though.
Exactly.
So that wouldn't have worked.
Don't.
John Candy's not a bad one.
I don't know. Here's something I'm going to break on everyone. Everyone loves throwing John Candy at me. I have a big fat white guy, of course. Look, John Candy, I from what I hear, tremendous actor and
very funny,
very beloved, very funny.
Okay.
My file on John Candy is shockingly small. I'm aware.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
That's what I got.
Have you seen it?
Yes.
Okay, thank God. I'm trying to think what else.
No. You are not allowed to do the, oh, have you seen it? Thank God to me. That is barred.
You just said that you have a small...
Yeah. I'm admitting that as someone who prides himself...
Go watch more John Candy and you'll understand the similarities. He's very self-deprecating. A lot of times he comes off as either... It's a good mix of aloof, but also like seemingly depressed, but also funny about it.
You know who else does that?
Who?
Anthony Bourdain.
Fuck you. That is the worst thing you've ever said on this show. Of all the bad takes that you've had, I can't believe I'm doing a show with a guy who thinks he's Anthony Bourdain.
I can't believe I'm doing a show with a guy who thinks he's Larry David, the most beloved complainer of all time.
The same. Complaining is my personality, dickhead.
Oh yeah. There we go. So now we're latching on to the king of it. And if my personality is being rad as hell, then I'm latching on to the king of it.
Bourdain is like a modern philosopher. He is a modern.
I wouldn't give him that much credit. I wouldn't give him that much credit.
Also incredibly fuckable, which you are not.
Yes, that is true. He a body that won't quit for Anthony Bourdain. My body wants to quit all the time. I've been burned, and my boy is burning me when I'm trying to talk about Bourdain. Give me a break.
I can't.
You are loathsome.
believe-
You're a loathsome person.
No one voluntarily compares themselves to Larry David. That is a loathsome character.
I think a lot of people. I think a lot of people
think that
want
they
to be
are.
Larry
They're
David.
quirky and a little bit different. But you know what I mean when I say that.
You are self-hating.
Have you watched Curb all the way through? You've watched Seinfeld all the way through.
Yes,
Jason
of
Alexander's
course.
George's character is based on him.
Yeah.
I more closely associate with George than I associate
I'm not
with
letting
Larry
you
David.
get George. Newman.
I'm not Newman. It doesn't make any
I
sense.
love doing a show with my
Like
pal
you're-
Wayne Knight,
like
who played Newman.
like you're not fucking Newman in this situation. Like that you wouldn't be Newman in this situation.
I'm not
The
Newman.
terrorizer in the circumstance.
If anything, that's Kramer adding a little spice to everyone's lives.
you're not Kramer.
You should hope to be
The
Elaine.
insane-
You should aspire
you-
to Elaine.
You are
I never cast myself in Seinfeld.
hubris.
I never once did it. And if I did, I'd choose
Call
Putty.
yourself
That's who I
Kramer.
would choose.
Does he stare at the back seat of the
I
seat
am.
in front of you?
If
Is that
I am
why?
anybody from Seinfeld, it's David Putty. And you're Elaine, and I'm getting
I
some of that
am not-
Elaine ass.
all right.
That's what I'm doing.
Next
I'm tapping into
question,
that thing.
Next question.
How you doing? Keeping it tight. Thank you. I do this word.
Bad per- Next question. Just
Still
read the
don't
question.
know.
Read the question.
Now I'm gonna have to watch so much Seinfeld tonight. Stack rank football position groups by how much ass they get, and why are long snappers dead last?
Long snappers
Rack.
are not dead last. Punters are dead last.
Hmm.
Punters, come on. Actually,
I-
well, Jordan Coaster's kind of dragging us down.
you're thinking about
Oh,
Rhode Island here.
wait. I have to.
Griffin Sachs. That doesn't help your brand. I love Griffin Sachs. I love Griffin.
He had a girlfriend and he was cheating on her when we were in school, so he was getting ass.
What is going on here with a no disclaimer, unbarred
his
character
his
assassination?
girlfriend from college is listening to Hack City. Yeah, I'm sure.
I gotcha.
What was I gonna say? Have you seen this TikTok trend where like girls are doing this to their parents, where we're doing the thing where they're like, "I'm so hungry, I could
Yeah.
eat," and they name like a random person. My girlfriend did that to me this weekend and did CJ Carrick, and then she asked me who would have pissed you off, like who would have actually pissed you off more than. I got mad when she said CJ Carrick, and she said that if she had your phone number, she would have texted you and asked you.
I would have given her some gems.
What would you have given her? I have my guess of who you would have given her.
Oh, I don't know if it would have been.
I said Coaster. Coaster was the immediate.
I would have
she
hit you with the
said-
Jason Jacks. That's what I would have hit you with. I would have
Jason
gone outside
Jack-
of football.
See, that would have been. much more
That's where I
creative.
would have gone.
That
Not
would've-
taking you to football. You like those guys. You're playing football with them. They're even if they're not all your best friends, like there's
I
a
didn't
little
like
bit
CJ.
of camaraderie.
I didn't like CJ.
Oh, I like CJ.
All right. If we had a rank position, okay, the top
Quarterbacks one,
yeah, wide
quarterbacks,
receivers two,
yes.
DBs are tied with wide receivers.
Yeah, that's fine.
You know who had to put the bottom? Running backs. Running backs had a tough time.
Running
No,
backs,
no,
and
no.
running backs, DNs are good. Yeah.
I would argue running backs, and this is not just who we played with consistently across the sport, tend to attract less attractive women. They tend to be going and swinging on a
You
lower
tell that
level.
to Zoe. You tell that to Lorenzo.
Zoe was
He is
an
not an
Adonis.
outlier. I
That man
know.
was an Adonis.
I gotcha.
The rest of the running back room,
Oh, come on.
there
is
were
a
some
stack-
struggles.
yeah,
I heard of some awkward DMs from most of the running back room.
Here's the thing. Just about every position on defense, O-line's near the bottom.
Linebackers, I would argue, weren't very good because they just don't have any touch.
Yeah, but they're big and strong. You got to think
Yeah.
about it. You got to think about what girls like, and they like the big, strong line. Tight ends do great. Tight end would be like up there with quarterbacks because they're tall. They're a little goofier.
Yeah. O-line's nicely in the middle because, for everyone that was doing really well, there would be plenty of individuals who
O-line's
didn't
bottom.
speak up.
O-line's bottom.
You think
because-
that they're at the
because-
bottom?
Yeah, because if you're not
Yeah, because you're like,
if you're not in the meta, you can still be built bad. You can still just
Yeah.
not be. I'm like
Smelly and
Wheeler had to
also-
tell us to stop eating salads and stop trying to look good for the women when we were all doing that, trying to look good and not be all fat and out of shape. But he said, stop doing it. You need weight, fellas.
You also were the only position group that had multiple players in our 4 years that had showering problems of not consistently showering.
Tough.
Yeah, so that's
Tough
all.
scene.
Yeah, you guys might be last.
Any of the big boys, specialists as a whole, bottom.
No.
And then offensive line, bottom to top, specialist, offensive line, defensive tackles.
Yeah,
and then,
defensive tackles.
Then everyone
struggle
else is pretty much
in the same mix.
I actually don't hate your running back shout now that I'm thinking about it.
I think
don't
running
hate
back
it.
goes behind.
I'd put running back behind every defensive position outside of defensive tackle. DNs do well, linebackers do well, all DBs do well.
You and I received enough consistent scuttlebutt to know that, like, I don't know, there'd be like a different running back that I would hear, oh, so-and-so DM'd my friend, and then they would show me the screenshot, and it would be a really uncomfortable opening line. Like, not only was there no Riz or none of that, there was also no success.
Yeah, some guys think that that the Riz, they don't need the Riz because they're
Also generally shorter.
Shape.
They're all like the 5'8" guys.
Oh.
What? Were you saying I don't have room to talk?
My boy is sitting here height shaming at a sub-6. That's crazy.
I'm allowed to. 5'8", 5'11" is taller than 5'8". You tell a girl you're 5'11", it's like, okay, that's not great, but I'd rather you be 5'11" than 5'8" or 5'7". Any girl would say that.
Hey, pal. Anything under 6 is the same.
Says the 6'3" guy.
Yeah. Now, who have you been getting comedy lessons from? Holy shit. Where did that come from?
At Joe DeLeone, at Sanderson Radio, at Hex City Pod, 201-834-4308. Call in. Give us a voicemail. We'll talk to you later.